One of the Father's Day presents I got was the Sisters of Auschwitz. I seen some videos of the stuff they did. It's a true story of two Jewish sisters' resistance in the heart of Nazi territory. They knew their survival depended on each other. They had to live for each other. During the Second World War, as the Nazis invade and occupy the Netherlands, a network of resistors grows in Amsterdam. Two Jewish sisters, Jenny and Leon, risk their own lives to save those hunted by the Nazis. As the net closes in, the Amsterdam Jewish population continues to be transported to labour camps, never to return. The family goes into hiding in a villa just outside the city. It quickly becomes one of the most important safe houses in the Netherlands. But when they are given up, the most terrifying time of the sisters' life begins. This is their story. Interesting that I got this today because I wanted to say something in a video about being tough on ourselves. I've been writing about vanity as a child. I remember Mum going into shops and the shopkeeper talking to Mum in a pleasing way, complimenting us children, complimenting her, and she was absolutely putty in the hands. She'd buy, you know what they offered? Like at the butcher's or something, and she spend more because of the way they treated her. Then I noticed as a teenager, having 6 sisters, the amount of guys that would come sleazing up to our place, and all they'd have to do is say nice things. And honestly, they were in bed with my sisters, or my mother, and it was a horrible thing for me to grow up with, to witness, because, you know, I love my sisters and that, and I didn't want to see them used. So I tried to explain to them what was happening, and they'd get angry at me, because Mama taught them that being a whore was fine. There was nothing to be ashamed of, sharing your body out with multiple men. So it was hard for me to, because I had a sense of being a gentleman, of courage, of like knightliness. And so this was a huge struggle as a child. I struggled with it deeply. I found that women like being, they like sugar on top. You like if I say, you've done a good job. I think you're absolutely special, and it's amazing what you've done. Well, all the extra stuff, other than you've done a good job, is sugar on top. You get a bun, it tastes nice, but if you put sugar on top, it's extra nice. So when someone pays you a compliment, it's nice. And you should maturely take it. See, the women of the past were mature. They weren't simple-headed, and they weren't craving for sex, they weren't craving for compliments. Today, due to the dysfunctional society, they're very insecure. And insecurity is like having a hole within you that was never filled. So they hunger for anything to fill that hole to make them feel good. So they will sell their soul, their body, their everything just to get a little bit of feel good. And it's, even if, I've talked to women, I've talked to a lot of women during my life. And I've talked to women who know the guy's just going to use them and chuck them away. And I said, but he's just abusing you. And she said, oh, I'll get some good sex anyway before he does. And when a woman becomes that hard, in here, she's lost her contact with who she really is as a woman and a mother and a wife. She's become a hardened version of herself, like the Pharaoh in the Bible. Trying to explain to her that she's destroyed her whole entire life because of her vanity is it's hard to get through. And the amount of females I've watched destroy their own lives because of their vanity and their the pleasure they get from a few tinkly words from somebody. It's heartbreaking. It really is. It's really sad to watch. And when you see them like 20 years later, they're a damaged shell. And they're hardened, their face is hardened, they're wrinkled, they're very, very miserable. And it's not nice. It's not nice at all. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in any woman. Women to me are like sometimes when I'm sitting here on my home by myself, and I can hear the woman and the neighbours talking and laughing, 4 or 5 of them together laughing and good humour and laughing. And it reminds me of wind chimes, their voices. Their voices remind me of wind chimes, tinkling. And it's such a delightful sound to hear a woman laughing and happy and enjoying themselves. And it's a pleasure to have it around. And so this is part of why men want women, because they complement the male. And a lot of women don't realise, but they complement the male in their honesty and their innocence, not in their filthiness, not in their demands and wanting this and this and that. So it's, but I've witnessed a lot of this, and it's been very, very hard to deal with. And what I discovered with myself, there was that period of about 5 to 10 years, it seemed like 10 years, might have been 5, where I never cried. And I looked at some of the home videos, and I'd actually become quite vain. Not vain, prideful. I suppose it's sort of the same. But I've become very prideful. I don't think I've ever been vain. I've never liked the looks of myself and never felt, but prideful. And I remember not watching the videos for about probably 15 years. And then one day sitting there watching the videos, and I started crying. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And it was just heartbreaking to see who I was, who I'd been, because I'm not that now. And then one day something happened. I can't remember what happened, and I started crying. I remember just sitting down in the bedroom, bawling my eyes out and crying and crying and crying and crying. And when I did that, I realised that I was... it felt really nice to cry. I really enjoyed it. And I just kept on crying. And I felt like I was taking this huge amount of pressure off me. And I haven't stopped crying since that day. And I've done a lot of crying since then, a huge amount. But the thing is that I had to start to change from who I was, being prideful, to who I am today. I had to do a lot of facing of facts. Now this is where people fail. You go up to them and you say, well, people said it to me, you need to face facts. And I'm like, oh, what? And then they say, well, you're egotistical or something like that. And you go, no, I'm not. Pride. But Dale Carnegie said something along the lines of, if someone says something harsh about you, there is probably an element of truth in it. So instead of being defensive and being angry, have a look at it. But you've got to be careful. Manipulators can use it to control you. So be careful with that. Be honest with yourself. When it comes down to changing yourself, being hard on yourself, thinking about what you should do and what you shouldn't do, you shouldn't be asking anyone else about it. Because when you do that, you let your walls down, and you trust the other person. If they're not married to you, you shouldn't be doing that. It doesn't matter if it's a therapist or who it is. You should be sitting back and saying, now hold on a minute here. I mean, Brian Wilson trusted his therapist, and look what happened to him. So we need to be tough on ourselves in order to see ourselves as who we really are. And in doing that, we see our faults as they really are. Something we seem to have this, it's like a protective, like in survival, we're all in survival mode, like that. So we've got this little protection that says, no, receive the lies, enjoy the lies, pretend you are what people say you are, even though you know you're not, and soak it up, puff your chest up, and stand proud. It's like all the actors and rock stars of today. They are so insecure. They're so dysfunctional. All that drug taking, the moral activities they get up to, and everything. It's all little children with a lot of money, and it's not fun in the end. I mean, large amounts quite a few of them commit suicide. Why? They're at the height of their fame. They're doing amazing. They kill themselves. There's Andy Gibb, there's Pete Dill, there's the guy out of Sequest, the young boy, and others. And you got to wonder, you know, and a lot of the ones that die of overdose of drugs, they probably OD by suicide. They just take too much drugs. They know it's going to kill them, but it'll be seen as an overdose and not a suicide. So that'll be why they do it. The point here is to be tough on yourself, is to look at yourself and say to yourself, okay, and you catch yourself. I read in a book about anger, they said you can feel anger rising. And they said to catch it the moment you feel it rising. Sometimes you need to be angry. There's a few people I've seen who've done really, they need that push. And I blow my top at them, and the moment I blew my top at them, they change for the better. But so we can sense and see these things. A comment about Benjamin Franklin, the very famous Benjamin Franklin, was that he was walking down the street. He admired this guy a lot. That he thought this guy was the world. Benjamin Franklin was, as a teenager, a real bad sort. And he was walking along with this guy, and it's in his book, his biography or whatever, and he says, the guy, he says to the guy, oh, what do you think of me? And or something like that. I can't remember the exact words. And the guy looked at him, and he was expecting compliments. And the guy turned around and says, well, you're just a flippin' hopeless dillard. And he laid into him and told him the truth about what he was. And Ben just stared like, what the heck? And then the guy, I assume, walked off, leaving Benjamin Franklin very crushed inside. He just couldn't believe what the guy said about him. And so he thought, well, what? And then he started realizing the truth. Now, this is the part that people struggle with. So if you're a woman and people are manipulating you easily, and I say to you that, you're like, nah, that's not true. I enjoy the good friendship. What you really enjoy is the lavishing, seductive games, the compliments, the encouragements, and all that. And it just manipulates you and makes you into a fool. Other people can see it, but you can't. So you allow it to continue. You enjoy it, but it destroys you. Ben realised the guy, he respected the guy so much, he realised the guy was telling the truth. So Ben went home and he changed his whole entire life. I mean, he completely changed. He became a famous statesman in America, invented a harmonica, a wooden stove, and a whole heap of stuff. He was known as a great statesman, inventor, and a whole lot of stuff. And he wrote some books and stuff. So the thing here that I'm getting at is you've got to come to a stage in your life to be tough on yourself. Someone comes over and says, well, the reason why that is happening is because you're not being nice enough. And you turn around and say, oh, hold on a minute. Question everything anyone tells you for a start. All your internal changing is done by you and you alone, no one else. Be tough on yourself. When you do something wrong, kick your butt. And kick it hard. Sit down and get really angry at yourself when you find yourself in the middle of the seductive game. I got sucked in by this female Rose. She was pregnant, and she was being very nice to me to try and get me to have sex with her so that she could tell everyone I was the father of the baby. She was still newly pregnant. In reality, she was sleeping with a Catholic guy who she didn't want to take the blame because it was against his religion, for the pregnancy, and I would have spent the next 16 years looking after a child that wasn't mine, and paying alimony and all that, and what he got off scot-free. And because he was living near her, he got full access to the child. So you got to be careful, people. And she laid a lot of compliments on me. I was very insecure at the time, going through a whole lot of struggles. Got a new partner, a job, and everything was really hard on me at that time. And I took the compliments because I wasn't getting them from anywhere else. Now I'm much more wary once again. I'm still learning. But the thing is the thing I always learn is to be hard on myself. And to, if I do something, not be hard on myself where I put myself down. Not like that. That's wrong. You don't, as Bruce Lee says, don't insult yourself. You're listening to yourself. Don't insult yourself. Don't say bad things about yourself. But do note you're in a conversation with a guy, so you're a woman, you're in a conversation with a guy, he turns up and he starts tinkling your ears with all these positives and what beautiful children you have and what a lovely house you have and oh, you're such a good looking girl and all this, and then sit there and say, hold it, all that's seductive talk, all that's manipulation, you know. It's just too much all at once, and he's so pleasing to the eye, pleasing to the ears, and it's like, nah, you're out. Just kick them out. And that's where you've got to be hard on yourself. You've got to say to yourself, no, I'm not that stupid, and I am not going to put up with that crap. And I'm not going to let someone come into my home and use my children to get into my bed, or use my ego to get into my bed just to dump me after, or to treat me like a slave in the house as a wife, or as a husband. In my case, my wife said a lot of good. I learned from her, one of her daughters, her first daughter came at once, and I did something, and she said, oh, that was lovely, and I was really pleased, because I was trying to get on with her daughter. And it was afterwards that I clicked, and I thought, her mother told the daughter to say nice things to him, and he'll let you do anything you want. He likes to be complimented. So I had to be hard on myself and say, no, James, accept the compliments on a mature level. Now, a mature level is a kind of straight-faced, mature. People say they're boring, but they're not. They're in control. And just say to yourself, well, okay, thank you. Or when someone says, oh, you're really good at this, or you really look good in that dress, or that, so just say thank you, and don't let it tickle your fancy. Just say thank you, no blushing, no, oh gosh, it was nice of him to say that. What a nice person. They're only words. It's just words. You don't want words to control you. Someone comes up to you and says something that you think is nice, and that's it. You're giving your whole heart and soul over a couple of afternoons of you're such a nice person, or even a month, or even 2 years, a year. The point is they're only words. So you need to know the person's character. And if the character is full of laying on the encouragement, laying on the I love and adore your children, there's a lot of single parents around, laying on the compliments, spending lots of money on you and stuff, they're buying you. That's what the money's for, to buy you. Spending time with you, that's another form of buying you. I mean, they can spend 3 months with you non-stop if they're going to get what they want from you, and you're going to be a slave in their bed in their home for the rest of your life. It's called making an investment. And you're what they're investing in, so they need to put money, time, and lies. That's the whole plan. That's the whole idea. I've found it excessively frustrating as a teenager watching it happen to my sisters and getting so angry. And then my sisters would say, shut up, James, or shut up, Jim back then, or James. I like it. And I'd say, but he's using and abusing you. I'd say, well, I like that too. If you can be that kind of woman, you've lost touch with your inner self. And you're very insecure and you're desperately trying to find something to be happy about. So if it's cheap sex, then it's cheap sex. But it's not happiness. It's not in the core of the soul. So anyway, so this thing here I'm trying to say here is being hard of yourself is denying yourself seductive talk, denying yourself compliments, denying yourself these encouragements, and don't let them use your children to get to you. Just say, look, you get to know me, leave the kids out of it. Okay? Just let the kids go play by themselves, and let's, have a cup of coffee together or something like this. Keep it very mature, very straight-faced, very, it's nice to get the odd compliment, yes. But it's the odd compliment. It's, you have to say, no, don't do that. And then at the end of the night, sit down and say, did I get a whole lot of, did I fall for anything? Was I sucked in any way? And that's where you kick yourself when you realise you were. And if you discover you were and they were laying compliments on, they're sucking you in. So you ring them up or send them a text and say, look, I don't think you should come back anymore. Or don't say, I don't think you should. You shouldn't. Be firm. Say, I don't want you coming up again. It's not working out the way I would like. And then they'll start laying guilt. The more you give them time to reply, the more they'll get back into your house and they'll lay the compliments on again. And they'll weaken you again. So it's a straight, no, out, gone, don't come back. And it's done. It's sad. It's sad to get rid of people out of your life. There's 7 billion people out there. You're not desperate. Although as the years go on, it might feel like it. I've spent 16, 17 years alone. I'm fine with it now. It just doesn't bother me in the slightest. If the girl I love turned up on my doorstep, it would be fine. But if she didn't, it's fine too. You see what I mean? If you can get to that stage in your life where you can give or take, it's fine. Then you're not sucked in by anybody. And I like being like this. I really enjoy it. I'd like to be happily married too. But if I'm not, I'm fine without it. So it's just something to think about. Be tough on yourself. And don't let other people, no matter how close they are to you, no matter how much you trust them, don't let them influence how tough you are and how strong you are on yourself. This is about you and you. It's not about any other human being. It's about you sorting your life for the future you want. It's about you. Be firm on that with yourself. God bless you. Have a good day. Which one's that side?